Having great board members does not by itself assure a great board. The other ingredient is effective processes for going about the board's work. Hi, I'm Jack Peterson with Managing for Mission. Managing for Mission specializes in administrative consulting for faith-based schools. If you watched the first 2 tutorials in this 3-part series, you heard about the board's role as well as 4 best practices for becoming a better board. In this tutorial, I'd like to talk about 4 best practices for doing the board's work. We'll be focusing on committees, strategic planning, evaluating the chief administrator, and board philanthropy. Boards do their work at a fairly high level, so their span of responsibility is quite broad. To give meaningful oversight to the apostolic, pedagogical, human, and business dimensions of the school, boards must divide up the work among committees. There they can focus on specific issues and bring back a deeper knowledge to inform board decisions. The number of standing committees should be kept to a minimum, 5 at most, because they require so much time from both the trustees and from the administrators who support them. These can be augmented by ad hoc committees as other needs arise. Each trustee should serve on no more than 2 committees, and for many, even 1 will be commitment enough. This means that committees also include non-trustees, who add depth and breadth to the deliberations. Non-trustees are a pool of potential trustees as they learn about the board's work and the board learns about how they work. The main role of a committee is to recommend to the board, when necessary, policies related to their area, but they do not set policies themselves. More often, they serve as a sounding board for the administrators working in the area that they oversee. But they must be clear that they are not supervising that administrator, or it will subvert the relationship of the chief administrator to her administrative team. In high-functioning boards, most of the work is actually done by committees. Because this is true, it works well to have the board and committees meet in alternating months. Strategic planning is the process of aligning all the internal factors within a school's control to better accomplish the mission in the face of external factors not within its control. While the strategic plan is a crucial tool for the Chief Administrative Officer, and the Chief Administrator provides leadership in its creation, the strategic plan is formulated under the authority of the board. It helps the board stay at that governance level while it gives clarity to the Chief Administrator about the board's vision for the school. Board members come and go, so the Chief Administrator and his team need the assurance of continuity in the strategic directions that they are pursuing. So ultimately, the plan is owned by the board, and the Chief Administrator leads the planning process. But a faith-based school runs on the generosity of all its stakeholders, so they need to participate somehow as well. This means that the experience of the people served by the school helps shape the plan, and it builds their ownership, so crucial when time comes for implementation. Managing for Mission has identified 10 characteristics of strategic plans. Of these, the 4 most important are that they be truly strategic, broadly owned, implementation-oriented, and compelling. To accomplish this generally takes a year from start to finish. If you want to learn more, we have a separate tutorial on strategic planning and additional materials on the Managing for Mission website. The board has only 1 employee who reports to it directly. It is therefore imperative that the board give direction and feedback to its employee. When things are going well, it may seem like a formal evaluation of the Chief Administrative Officer is unnecessary, but there are at least 3 important reasons to maintain this practice. First, if problems do develop, they'll be easier to deal with if there's been a consistent discipline of evaluation. Second, the evaluation isn't just a time to identify problems in the Chief Administrator's performance. It's a time for her to hear from the board that her job is important, and that she has their appreciation when she does it well, and their support when she needs to do it better. Third, it sets a good example. The Chief Administrator should be evaluating her administrative team, who in turn should be evaluating the faculty and staff who report to them. The board must model the importance of evaluation to the Chief Administrator, giving her leverage when she asks employees to participate in a process that applies to her as well. The chief administrator should receive formative feedback on a regular basis. This can be in an informal setting, like a monthly meeting with the board chair, but it should be planned and regular. Managing for Mission also recommends that boards administer an annual summative evaluation, which identifies and documents officially both achievements to be recognized and deficiencies to be remedied. The summative evaluation should include data on the progress towards strategic plan goals, review of professional goals, a self-evaluation, and a confidential survey sampling 360-degree input from reports, colleagues, the community in general, and every trustee. The annual review should include setting goals for the coming year. Goal setting and the evaluation based on them should be done yearly because good performance trends can't wait for 2 or 3 years to be acknowledged, and adverse performance trends can't wait to be remedied. Nothing the board does will impact the well-being of the school more than providing thoughtful and consistent formative and summative feedback to the chief administrator. For some, providing philanthropic support is the most important job of the board. I don't think that's true, but it is pretty important. Faith-based schools depend for their very existence on the generosity of benefactors. In order to give such generous support, a donor needs to understand what the school is about and feel a personal connection. Well, who is more knowledgeable and connected than the trustees? If they're not willing benefactors, how could we expect anyone else to be? Conversely, who can make a better board member than someone who's done his due diligence and made a major investment in the school? He'll want to follow his investment and will have extra motivation and insight as he carries out his duties. The trustees set an example for others to follow in this as in other matters. And while it's great to have people of wealth on the board who can make leadership gifts, it's more important that all trustees support the annual fund and any campaign to an extent proportionate to their means. So we've talked about committees, strategic planning, evaluation of the chief administrator, and board philanthropy. In the previous tutorial, we talked about recruitment, formation, self-evaluation, and board manuals. There are other best practices, but if trustees make a concerted effort with these, they will become a great board. I encourage you to learn more about governance and school management by viewing the other tutorials on this YouTube channel, or visiting our website by clicking on the link in the upper right of your screen. And again, thank you for your commitment to excellent governance for your school. Not only are you impacting the lives of its students, but you're setting a wonderful example for the rest of us.